Hello guys, today I have the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite games in the most recent years and also one of my favorite soulslikes. Today we take a look at Remnant from the Ashes, which received an update for Xbox Series X and S and also PS5. The main focus of the update are technical improvements, but it also enables crossplay between the Microsoft Store version on PC and Xbox players. So every Game Pass user can play with their friends, at least in the Xbox ecosystem. It isn't declared as an upgrade in both the Xbox and PlayStation Store, but more of an instruction set that enables specific features in backward compatibility for the new consoles. There is nothing new on older consoles. For my comparison, I will mainly talk about framerate and resolution, because all the versions look virtually the same. And please believe me when I say that this patch behaves absolutely weird on so many levels that I'm still second guessing every measurement I took. I'm 100% confident in terms of framerate, but resolution is something else this time. Let's start with Sony's consoles, because I think they are the most interesting. I used the PS4 as a baseline for my comparison. On the base machine it sports a solid 30 frames per second with some minor dips and severe spikes when loading a new area in the background. This also happens when using an internal SSD, so it might be related to CPU or memory. The PS5 rocked 100% constant 30 FPS before the update, and I couldn't find a single sample with a resolution above 1224p, which fits the dynamic 1440p resolution target. After the update you can find two options in the video menu: best resolution and best performance. The difference between these two? I don't know. They play mostly the same. There isn't any difference in frame rate. My recording in best performance mode had 1 frame drop less, but that's it. Even the stutter when loading an area was the same as on PS4, but less severe. In both modes I also counted exactly the same resolution, which brings me to the conclusion that either the screenshot function, which outputs uncompressed PNG files, is behaving weird with Remnant, or there is some upscaling going on that I can't decipher yet. But the pixel grid suggests some temporary solution. If you want to give it a shot, I am linking high-res screenshots in the video description below. Now on to Xbox consoles, where the strangeness continues. I used the Xbox One X as a baseline. The game got an enhancement which introduced 4K at 30 FPS with rare drops. Only when using screen filling ultimate abilities or loading in a big area, the frame rate tanks a bit harder. Xbox Series X in contrast was perfect 30 all the time. After the update you got the same two video modes like in the PS5 version, but this time they differ actually. When playing in best resolution, the game sports a stable 60 FPS, only dropping when there is a ton of stuff going on at the screen. I tried my best to get as much enemies and effects as possible into one scene, so this won't happen too much when you play the game normally. Best performance on the flip side is 60 FPS all the time. There wasn't a single dropped frame. In terms of resolution, I'm not sure again, but I think I got a better understanding of it. In best resolution mode I counted native 4K, but the same goes for best performance. Because of the more stable frame rate and the different HUD size, I think it's obvious that the internal resolution should be a lot lower than 4K. While counting, I recognized artifacts for every second step in the pixel grid, which suggest reconstruction methods that scale up from 1080p. but I wouldn't even have noticed it if I hadn't pixel counted the resolution. The upscaler on Xbox consoles works really well in this case. Not perfect, but absolutely fine. Still, best performance mode feels a bit unnecessary on both consoles. On PS5 both modes perform the same, and on Xbox Series X the circumstances for frame drops are exceedingly rare. Bear in mind that this could be the case for PS5 too. There could also be more heavy frame drops. But on Xbox I was way further into the game, so I was able to create more havoc. The last version we take a look at is for Xbox Series S, which was my favorite console for Remnant by far before the update, because it ran with 100% solid 30 FPS at 1080p. It always felt like the most responsive version of the game, as if there was some higher buffered VSync running in the background that made it feel smoother. With the patch the game runs still at native 1080p, but with 60 FPS. The frame rate only drops slightly in very demanding scenes when you try to get as much as possible going on at the screen. The boost in frame rate makes the game even better on Series S, but with one asterisk. There seems to be a sound bug that leads to a weird static every 1 or 2 minutes. It gets annoying over time, and it's the same now on Xbox One X, but it's not present on Xbox Series X. So I hope there will be a fix in the future. Now to my conclusion. All in all, I prefer the Xbox versions to their PlayStation counterparts. The Xbox versions don't drop frames when loading in new areas, have a crispier image, and also got some advantages in terms of draw distance. Shadows and textures pop in way more often on PlayStation 5. If you only got one of the consoles, I recommend playing Remnant no matter what. It's atmospheric, features nice environmental work, the gameplay is dynamic with lots of different abilities, and the bosses are really challenging. Difficulty also scales well when playing co-op. Big recommendation. And that wraps it up. I wish you all a great week, stay healthy, and see you next time.